Although I first got my call to ministry about 15 years or so ago, I didn't actually feel it was an urgent call to ministry until after I became a wheelchair user most of the time. I felt called to ministry because I realised lots of people were missing out on church, whether that was because of disability or some other protected characteristic. I just felt that there are so many people who don't realise that church can be for them. I'm Mo. I'm a probationer presbyter in my first year of ministry in the Leeds South and West Circuit. And I'm also the coordinator for the Solidarity Circle for Living with Disability. I've got a genetic condition that affects all of the soft connective tissues in my body, and it means that I dislocate my joints several times a day. I'm just a lot safer sitting down, and I can do a lot more in the day if I use my wheelchair. This is my folding wheelchair that I can take with me if somebody gives me a lift or I get a taxi. It's quite heavy though, so it depends on who it is who can lift it. Normally I hoist it in and out of the back of my car. I've got another wheelchair that I use mainly for camping because it's got good ground clearance, and the one I use usually to get around in is a much bigger machine that has much more high-powered motors and has a riser on it, so I can be taller when I'm preaching, and also I can reach different things at home and in other places. So I've got 4 churches. This particular church, the access is round the side of the church and through a storeroom, which is not ideal, but I do have access to the whole building once I'm inside. Eventually we will adapt the front, but there are complications such as fixed furniture outside near the steps that would have to be moved. So there's lots of things to think about. We also need to think about the other people who use the building, for whom a long ramp might mean they need to walk further and might mean they can't access the building. 2 of the churches I've got are level access for the main level where we will have our church room and where most of the activities take place. In each of those there are different types of lifts to other floors. And in my biggest church, it's been quite difficult to adapt because it's in the middle of a conservation area, so there are rules about what we can do to the frontage. But we do have a lift inside the building that takes us up to where the main church is and also downstairs. Here are 5 top tips for helping to make your church more accessible to all. Think about what some of the barriers might be to people with access needs in your church, and then undertake an access audit of your church, and there are resources available to help you do that. Invite your congregation to share with you any access needs they may have. Publicise the accessibility of your church on your website and on the exterior of the building if you can. Remember, everyone's access needs are different, even if they appear to have the same type of impairment. As the Methodist Church, we've produced a range of resources to help you address accessibility in your church. You can find all of these on the Methodist Church website. As churches, we do have a legal responsibility to address the issue of access for all, but we do need to think about what's reasonable for us as the particular church group that we are and the particular kind of building that we've got. Often there are small adaptations we can make that actually make people's lives a lot easier and make it possible for people to access church.